Hey guys, Rolando Rodriguez here with xgains.com, and we got workouts that work, eats to satisfy, and everything else you need to reach your lifestyle goals. So today I want to talk about something that really irritates me. I love the company and I love the app. It's Under Armour. They bought MyFitnessPal. I've been using MyFitnessPal ever since I began my weight loss journey, and I've been purchasing Under Armour since I was in high school. And I've talked about Under Armour on this channel before and how they make, for the most part, amazing products that will last as long as you want them to last. And MyFitnessPal has been with me every step of the way. I have videos on how to use MyFitnessPal and suggest to my clients and everybody out there to utilize FitnessPal to track their macros and track their intake. Here's the thing though, they send out articles about health and fitness all the time, and sometimes they send out articles about nutrition, or a lot of the times they send out articles about nutrition, but sometimes they'll talk about keto. And they just sent out an email yesterday that I received with one of the article titles called 5 Signs You Need to Eat More Carbs. So I, of course, checked it out, and I gotta say, it didn't just upset me, it practically infuriated me. Very frustrating, very misleading. I understand that there's a lot of carb products out there that since the 70s, runners have been going to carb bars to fuel up, and people have this mentality that they gotta carb up before a big leg day or a big race. And it's just craziness. Like, carbs are not essential, period. Some blood sugar is necessary for your red blood cells and certain other organs in your body, and your brain does utilize sugar as its primary fuel source if you allow it to be its primary fuel source. But the only reason it's its primary fuel source is because if there's too much sugar in your body, that becomes toxic. Just like if there's too much alcohol in your body, you have to regulate how much sugar is in your body. And guess what? You don't need a single drop of exogenous carbs or sugar in your body. Your body will make the carbs that it needs in a process called gluconeogenesis to provide the amount of sugar that your body needs to function without eating one single gram of carbs. Meaning you make the sugar that you need endogenously. You don't have to get it from an outside source. Carbs are not, and I repeat, are not essential, period. There's essential fatty acids and there's essential proteins. If you do not intake certain fats and certain proteins, your body cannot make those, but your body can make carbs. I'm sorry I digress, but let's talk about 5 signs you need to eat more carbs, the title of this article, and I'm just gonna go through them. Today's diet trends, particularly keto, have led to skepticism about carbs and cutting back on everything from bread to bananas. But is swapping your morning oatmeal and afternoon apple for eggs and avocado really the best way to support your overall health and maintain a healthy weight? The number of carbs you need to thrive really depends on your individual needs, goals, and lifestyle, says dietitian and personal trainer Janae Apple. That said, if your body needs more carbs, you'd better believe it'll let you know. First of all, carbs are not innately good or bad. I agree with that. Too many carbs are though, so if too many carbs are bad for you, is that innately? Thing is, if you eat too many carbs, you know what ends up happening? Your body stores those extra carbs, which are sugars, as fat, because we don't have a way to store sugar. That means we have to get the sugar out. That's why they might consider it your primary fuel source. But when you're metabolizing alcohol and your body says, we got to get this out ASAP, and your body mainly focuses on processing the alcohol that you just ingested, people don't say that's your primary fuel source, right? And the thing is your body doesn't process the sugar it has, it can't store it, so it just floats in your bloodstream, and that's no good, not at all. So it has to convert the sugar to fat and store it as fat. But guess what happens if you eat too much fat, people? You shit yourself. That's what you do. Let's get real. Every single time I eat more than 80% of my total calories from fat, the next day I have diarrhea. If you eat too much fat, your body gets rid of it. It says, this is too much, push this shit out. Carbs though, no. You're gonna hold on to that and that is gonna be converted into fat, which is we wanna burn later. Sorry for cussing, I normally don't, but I get agitated as you can tell with this. When you eat carbs, our body breaks them down into sugar, which we just talked about, which can be converted into energy straight from your bloodstream or stored as glycogen in your muscles and liver to convert into energy later. And that's the thing. If you eat more carbs or more sugar, which pretty much everybody out there does, then your body needs immediately and or can store in your muscles or liver, the extra sugar gets turned into fat. Let's continue. To keep your body fueled, the Dietary Guidelines of America recommends getting between 45 to 65% of your total daily calories from carbohydrates. That's crazy. Yes, there's 20% of people out there that can eat carbs and will be fine. But for the other 80% of the world, I would say, okay, especially when you get on the other side of 35, if you're eating 45 to 65% of your total calories coming from carbs, you will gain weight. And if you're not gaining weight because you're keeping your calories down, you will be hungry. It's nuts, because why will you be hungry? Because every single time your blood sugar drops, all of a sudden your brain goes crazy and it's like, hey, I'm hungry because I got to get more sugar. Instead of being fat adapted, your brain's saying, it's cool, I got my energy. Your brain can have 80% of its energy, I think, maybe even a little more coming from ketone, and the other, 15 to 20% coming from the sugar that your body is making endogenously, right? Converting the fats and proteins that you intake to sugar so your body can utilize it, right? But people do not allow this to happen because we're constantly eating carbs. And if you're eating 45 to 65% of your total calories in the form of carbs, three things. Either you're 20% of the people that can handle it, or you're not and you're gaining weight, or you're not gaining weight because you're reducing your calories and you're constantly hungry. That's the truth. If you eat 2,000 calories per day, that's 225 to 320 grams of carbs per day. I eat less than 50 total grams of carbs normally a day. When I'm doing the carnivore diet, which you guys probably already know now, makes me feel amazing, I'm eating 15 to 20 grams of carbs a day, which is technically like a therapeutic ketogenic diet. And I don't need that medically, but I will say when I stay under 20 grams of carbs a day when I'm following the carnivore diet, I feel insane. And a lot of people out there will say, well, ketogenic diet isn't safe long-term. What is long-term? I've been following a ketogenic diet now for almost 7 years, for 11 and a half months out of the year. And what's crazy is, every single year I get a clean bill of health. If anything, my numbers are getting better. From the time I was 30 to now I'm 37, almost 38, every single year I've either gotten a better bill of health or the same clean bill of health. And I've been following a ketogenic diet for the last 6 to 7 years, for at least 10 months out the year, the last 3 years for 11 and a half months out the year, and nothing's changing. So what is long-term? When I'm 72 and I get cancer, but I could have gotten cancer for whatever other reason. That's what's crazy. Like 7 years of following a diet for more than 340 days out of the year, I would say is long-term. And I'm fine. And people out there are fine. And the people that have to stay, that have epilepsy, that have other issues, and are on a ketogenic diet for the long term, just like I've said in this channel before, if it's safe for them, it's safe for everybody else, because they're humans just like us. But some of those people have brain issues where they can't process carbs. So where do they get most of their energy from? Ketones. And it helps their brain function better. So if they can do that and they're human, I'm a human, I can do that. So anyways, let's continue. Signs your body needs more carbs. Fall short of your body's go-to fuel source. Go-to fuel source? Only because you've been going to it your entire life, especially if you live in America. If you allow your body the time to become fat adapted, the go-to fuel source will be fat. And guess what? You have a ridiculous amount more fat on your body, or more fuel source, than you do carbs. So you have what you need on your body. Your body's preferred fuel source is the fat. If not, why would we convert sugar to fat? So to start over on that one, fall short of your body's go-to fuel source and you're pretty much guaranteed to feel the effects in a number of ways, from not surprising to completely unexpected. Way one, fatigue and brain fog. You know why you get fatigue and brain fog when you go low carb? Because you're carb addicted, because your brain is addicted to carbs. The first and perhaps most obvious indicator your body isn't getting the carbs it needs to function its best. You feel physically and mentally exhausted, says Apple. In addition to feeling sluggish and even sleepy throughout the day, many people experience headaches and trouble focusing when they don't consume ample carbs, Apple adds. I've mentioned this before. Going ketogenic, you have more stable energy throughout the day because when you eat carbs, high blood sugar, low blood sugar, high blood sugar, low blood sugar. Guess what happens when you eat low blood sugar? You become groggy and hangry, upset, you might have trouble focusing. But when you become fat adapted and your body starts to utilize ketones as its go-to fuel source, you don't become foggy, you don't get headaches, you don't get cranky, you get focused. And if you want to go carnivore or go 20% or less of your total calories coming from carbs, and you want to realize what hyper focus is, I mean, for me, going from eating the standard American high carb diet to a low carb diet, which I was getting 50 total grams of carbs a day. And remember, they wanted you to get anywhere from 250 to 320. When I made that switch, my brain focus and my energy was what I thought through the roof. But it really went through the roof when I went carnivore. It was insane. It was like keto on steroids. As you can probably tell, I've never done steroids, but I would imagine that's what it's like. You know what the saying is. Anyways, yes, you will get fatigue and brain fog when you are going through the withdrawal process from carbs. But that won't last more than a couple of days. For me, it's like a 4-hour period at this point when I come off of, Christmas and New Year's 2-week extravaganza carb fest. I'll get a headache one day and that's it. But for other people, it might linger. Just like when you're trying to kick a caffeine addiction, you're gonna have a headache 1 or 2 days and then you'll get over it. Your brain's gonna say, guess what? We don't get the caffeine anymore. We don't get the carbs anymore. We have to find a new fuel source, and we have one. And it's called ketones, which comes from your fat, which is what I mean when you're fat adapted. It means that you can utilize the fat efficiently as fuel. So you don't need the carbs to feel, quote unquote, the lack of headaches and trouble focusing. Instead, you won't have headaches. I suffer from migraines, and I still suffer from migraines, but I went from having 1 migraine every 2 months to having 1 or 2 migraines a year ever since I started going ketogenic. You have headaches, and you have trouble focusing because you're withdrawing from sugar. Along with difficult focusing, you may also experience changes in mood, especially irritability, when you fall short of your body's carbohydrate needs, suggests Apple. In addition to being the brain's primary fuel source, we've already talked about that, carbohydrates also increase the body's production of serotonin, the hormone that helps balance your mood. It's often associated with the sense of happiness and well-being. And guess what else does serotonin? Drugs. They just don't mention it. Serotonin is the happiness feels. Guess what else releases serotonin? When you're done working out. It's the feel good. It's the runner's high. Yes, I know carbs make me feel amazing when I'm eating them and they make me so happy. But I also know that my anxiety level shoots through the roof when I start eating carbs. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when you're eating them, of course, they taste amazing. Because back in the day, when it was spring and summer and we were trying to get fat for winter, we needed energy to go sprint and chase that lion down or run away from the woolly mammoth, whatever. I wish I had my kid here. I hope that woolly mammoths, they were alive when humans were alive. If not, he would have let me know. But anyways, when I see clients who experience changes in mood, I always explain the importance of carbohydrates, Apple says. What are the importance? You have a mood change because you're withdrawing from carbs. Number 3, crummy workouts. If eating too few carbs leaves you struggling to get through the average workday, you know it must impact how you feel during exercise too. While insufficient carbs may not be so problematic for lower intensity workouts like yoga, that your body can better use oxygen and fat to power, it can pretty much destroy your performance in higher intensity training like CrossFit, Apple says. It won't destroy your performance. There's some truth to what they're saying here, and I'm going to continue. Why? Higher intensity exercises depend on glucose from the carbs in your bloodstream or stored in your muscle or liver for fuel, since it cannot produce ample energy quick enough with just oxygen or fat. That is very true. If you're doing explosive exercise and you want to get your personal best, then I would say to make sure that you carb load. I've talked about this before though. I've been able to hit personal bests following a ketogenic diet. So when you start going low carb, the first week your workouts numbers might drop and your intensity might drop. But when you go into week 2, week 3, especially week 4, you're gonna be creeping back. And we're not professional out here. We're not Olympians. We don't need that extra little inch. As long as we're going as hard as we possibly can, you're gonna be fine in your workouts, okay? You might be a little groggy the first couple of days because you're withdrawing from carbs, quick, explosive energy. But if you stick to a ketogenic diet or if you stick to a low carb diet, your body will adjust. Okay? And when you eat food, it's going to restore the glycogen in your muscle to make sure that you have it for the next day. You will have enough glycogen stored in your muscle to explode. Guys, even when I do a carnivore, okay? When I do a carnivore diet, it's still ketogenic. I'm not eating more than 25% of my total calories coming from protein. So I'm not eating an immense amount of protein at all. So much so that my body might be able to turn the protein into glucose. And the thing is I can perform optimally. Now, the truth is, if I'm following a ketogenic diet for like 2 or 3 months and then carb loading, which is truly the essence of carb loading, people out there say, oh, I'm going to carb load because I got a big leg day or I did a leg day today. And that's not truly carb loading. When you're truly depleted and you do some workouts depleted, then you eat some carbs, that next workout's like rocket fuel. But if you continue to eat the carbs, the rocket fuel is going to taper off. You're going to be doing the same thing you were doing ketogenically, but you might actually decrease your performance because of the bloat. It's crazy. When you're following a carnivore diet or low carb diet, you can go run, you can go sprint, you can work out anytime, right after eating anything. But try to do that eating a bunch of carbs, 45 to 60% of your meals coming from carbs, and go take a sprint, see what happens. You'll peel over. You won't be able to do it. Cramps galore. Probably throw up. Let's continue. Case in point, the Journal of Sports Medicine and Physical Fitness found low-carb ketogenic diets significantly impact men's and women's performance in high-intensity exercise. That's because they're not fat-adapted. And they probably do the test for 1 or 2 weeks. They have them low-carb and they want to try to do it. Professional athletes take 6 months to get back up to their point. But we're not professional athletes. And I'm going to tell you, you'll be able to get back up to your high numbers, whatever your maxes are, within 4 weeks of following a ketogenic diet, especially if you're an avid exerciser. Number 4, bad breath. Unexpected, but very real. Falling short on carbohydrates can make your breath stink. When you eat low carb, your body turns to fat for fuel, explains Apple. In the process of breaking down that fat for fuel, your body produces chemicals called ketones, which we've talked about, which are released in the breath and have a foul odor. Ever heard of the term keto breath? This is where that comes from. If you notice particularly smelly breath, but are on top of your flossing game, your diet may be to blame. Here's the thing, that's true, you can have keto breath. But the reason you get keto breath is because you're producing too many ketones. And once your body says, wait a minute, this is how much ketones we need to provide adequate energy that this guy needs to get through the day, the workout, to live his normal life, you become more efficient at utilizing your ketones. So your body's not gonna have to get rid of the ketones through your breath or your urine. So that's why urine trips are unreliable sometimes, especially if you've been low carb for an extended period of time. Okay? So yeah, this will happen, but it will also go away for most people out there. I get keto breath every time I come off the Christmas, New Year's eating fest, and my wife says, for a couple of days, but it's literally 1 or 2 days. When I originally started keto, I would have it for about a week, and then it'd go away. Once your body understands what it needs to produce in terms of ketones to get you through the day, it will ramp down the keto production, or your body becomes more efficient at utilizing the ketones that it makes. So there's not extra ketones that need to be dispersed through your breath or your urine. So if you're on top of your floss game, your diet may be to blame. Here's the thing though, carbs are what fuel the bacteria in your breath to give you stinky breath and cavities. If you stop eating carbs, you're not going to be feeding the bacteria that gives you true stink breath or deteriorate your teeth. Ketones will make you have some stinky breath, but at least it won't jack up your teeth and it will go away. Sign number 5 of the 5 signs you need to eat more carbs. Digestion issues. One major downside of missing the carbs your body needs for fuel, you also miss out on fiber that comes with them. When we cut back on foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, we eliminate a lot of fiber in our diet, says Apple. Without fiber, which adds bulk to our stool, we end up with constipation and irregular time spent on the toilet. Considering most Americans fall short of fiber as it is, slashing carbs particularly guarantees trouble. Guys, the reason you need fiber is to feed the bacteria in your gut, and that bacteria helps break down carbs. If you don't eat carbs, that bacteria in your gut will die, but you won't need the bacteria to break down the carbs that you are not eating. Like I mentioned earlier, if you eat too much fat, your body just poops it out. So if you're constipated following a ketogenic diet, it could be that you have too little water retention, and it could be that you're eating too little fat. Personally, I never had an issue going ketogenic and having to go to the bathroom until I did the ketogenic egg fast. Ketogenic egg fast, I went from using the bathroom every single day to going about twice a week. I wouldn't feel constipated, but going to the bathroom wasn't as easy as it normally was. So guess what I did? I upped the butter intake. I made sure I was getting my water. So if you have trouble going to the restroom when you're following a ketogenic diet, up the fat. My twin brother, what he has to worry about is too many vegetables following a ketogenic diet. That will give him diarrhea. He can handle more fat. I can't. And when I went carnivore, guys, maintaining my fish oil pill supplementation, again, the way I follow carnivore diet is a ketogenic diet in terms of the macros. I had no issue going to the restroom. As a matter of fact, I went from going every single day to going 2 times a week, but doing the carnivore diet, I was not constipated. I didn't have to go. And when I had to go to the bathroom, I went to the bathroom. And the poop's totally different. Sometimes, most of the time, it's this thing that I call ghost poops. Let's get personal. What's a ghost poop? Ghost poop is when you go to the bathroom and you don't have to wipe. Do you wipe? Of course you wipe. And you wipe again because you're like, what? There's nothing? You got to make sure. Dude, wipe 3 times. I tell my kids, I don't care if it's a ghost poop, you wipe. And you make sure that it's truly a ghost poop. But it changes. It comes out easy when I'm following a carnivore diet, and I'm not in there for a long period of time. The thing is if you go low carb, yeah, you'll get rid of some of the gut bacteria that's helping break down the carbs that you eat, because the carbs that you eat actually keep that bacteria alive, but you're not going to have an issue. You're not. And another thing too is if you go low carb and you might think, oh, there's an issue with my going to the bathroom, give it a couple of days, because there's certain enzymes that help break down carbs and break down fat. And it takes a couple of days for your body to realize, wait a minute, we don't need to produce all these carb breakdown enzymes. We need to start producing the fat breakdown enzymes. And that will make your digestion a lot more normal. The truth is, guys, when I went from a carb-filled diet to a low-carb diet with fibrous vegetables, but not all the sugar and all the other, refined or unrefined whole grains or rice that I used to eat, I felt a lot less bloated. Now, going from the ketogenic diet to a carnivore diet, it was insane. I didn't know I could feel that great and that lack of bloat. We walk around feeling bloated, with acid reflux, with stomach issues, with gas, because we think it's normal. It's not. What's normal is to not feel that way. But we don't know it because we're addicted to carbs. This article should not be called the 5 signs you need to eat more carbs. It should be called the 5 signs you're addicted to carbs. And that's it for now. This is Rolando Rodriguez with xgains.com. Please let me know if you got any questions or comments down below. Please like, subscribe, and share to this channel if you haven't done so already. I greatly appreciate it. The website again is X-. That's the symbol, not the word, gains.com. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace.